section. Now, 9.4. 9.4. Basic rules of differentiation. The first rule of differentiation says that derivative of a constant is equal to 0. Derivative of a constant is equal to 0. And here is the reason. If your function is f of x, or y is f of x, and f of x is equal to 5, how do you graph this? Here is x, here is y, right? We want to graph this. Y equal 5, here is 5. Since there is no x here, that means no matter what the value of x, the value of y remains at 5. X being negative, x being positive, x being 0, whatever it is, the value of the y would remain at 5. So basically what you have is this. This is y equal 5. Or f of x equal to 5, equal to constant. Now the question is, how do you draw a tangent at any point? Let's say this point. How do you draw a tangent to this line? Well, the first question you ask yourself is, which line would not be tangent here? Okay, if I draw a line like this, L1, is this tangent? The answer is no. That line is crossing it. It cannot be tangent. Would this line be tangent, L2? The answer is no. That line is also crossing it. That cannot be tangent to point A on y equal to 5. The only possibility for a tangent line would be a line which goes like this. This black line would be tangent at point A. The next question you ask yourself, what is the slope of this tangent line? What's the slope of a horizontal line? Well, horizontal line does not have any rise. So rise is 0. Rise over run. 0 divided by anything is 0. So the slope is 0. And we know the slope is a tangent. The slope of a tangent line is also the derivative. So in this case, y prime would be f prime of x. It would be equal to what? Equal to 0. Done. So the slope of the tangent line, since it is equal to 0 for a horizontal line, then derivative would be 0. That's rule number 1. Rule number 1. Derivative of a constant is 0, because the slope of tangent line to a horizontal line is equal to 0. That's what this rule number 1 is. Again, they are showing the derivative as d dx of c of a constant, right? So f of x is equal to 5, f prime of x is equal to 0. I just showed that graphically. The second rule of differentiation, dx of h to the n power equal n times h to the n minus 1. N is a real number. So here it says, what is, let's say y is equal to h to the 5th power. If y is equal to h to the 5th power, y prime would be equal to 5 comes to the front. Then you write the x. You subtract 1 from the power. So 5 minus 1 is what? Is 4. I'll give you another one. Y equal x. The power is only 1. So y prime would be, or f prime of x, it doesn't make any difference, it's just notation. Y prime would be 1, the power would come to the front, it would be 1. X, now subtract 1 from the power, so it would be 1 minus 1. So here would be 1 times h to the 0 power. H to the 0 power is what? Is 1. Anything to 0 power is 1, remember that. So this would be equal to 1. Y prime would be 1. So that's what rule number 2 says. Here's f of x equal x to the 7. then f prime would be 7h to the 6th. Rule number 3. Rule number 3. d dx of c times f of h equals c times the derivative of f of h. So if you had a constant, that's what the c is. If you had a constant, what would then? Let me write this down. If we have y equal 18h to the second, right? It says when you figure out the y prime, you keep the 18 out, that's the constant here. You take the 18 out and then take the derivative of this. Take the derivative of h to the second using the previous rule. So it would be 2h, subtract 1 from 2 would be 1. So it would be 18 times 2h is what? 36h. That's the derivative of this. Or simply 2 times 18, h, subtract 1 from the power. So 36 is the answer. That's what this rule number 3 is saying. F of h equals 3h to the 8th. So we are keeping the 3 safe. You're keeping the 3. This 3. We're keeping it here. And then take the derivative of that, which would be 8h to the 7. Subtract 1 from that power. So it would be 3 times 8, 24, h to the 7. That's the derivative. Rule number 4. If you have a combination of several functions, plus or minus each other, then to take the derivative of the whole thing, it would be derivative of the individual components. So here it says, if your function has f of h and g of h plus or minus each other, then the derivative would be f dd of h of f of h or dd of h of g of h, right? So for example, if f of h is equal to, or say y is equal to 15h to the third minus 2h to the second plus 3h plus 12, right? So here your function has several pieces. So y prime here would be derivative of this first one, which would be 3 times 15, which is 45. H, subtract 1 from the power, it would be h to the second. Minus 2 times h squared, 2 times minus 2 is minus 4, h to the 1, plus 3h, h power 1 is 1, 1 times 3 is 3, h to the 1 minus 1, 0, so h to the 0 would be 1, so that would be 3. And finally, a plus 12, a constant derivative of that is 0. So this would be the derivative. That's all this one is saying. So as for example, it says f of x equals 7 plus h to the 12. Well, 7 is a constant, so derivative of it is 0. Then h to the 12 would come to the front. H, subtract 1 from the power. H to the 11. So the answer would be 12h to the 11. Right? The 4 rules of differentiation.